Another rugby weekend with very little sleep has once again passed us by. Goodness me, it was a fantastic weekend. Once again, plenty of games running straight through the wee small hours of Saturday night here in New Zealand, which didn't leave much time on a Sunday to have any sleep. But some fantastic games over the weekend. We're going to have a look at them in our Super Rugby review for round number 3. 7 games we had, and I think my picks this week have been not too bad, at least for the winners. Maybe not the margins, but we're going to have a look at them as well and see what happened and what our thoughts were on the action. Alright, so the weekend kicked off on Friday night in Auckland with the Blues up against the Hurricanes. Now, I was a bit surprised this match that the Blues were actually given the favourites tag on this one. Now, I know they beat the Highlanders in the first round, but they've looked pretty average and they look pretty dodgy in the forwards. And their goal kicking, especially in this match as well, had some pretty big woes about it. The Blues, though, they had all the goings in the early part with the territory and the possession all going their way. But the Hurricanes, they've watched the replays of their match against the Crusaders, and they know exactly how to dominate. And that's in the forwards, and that's where they started to gain their momentum. And after 20 or 25 minutes, the Hurricanes had really shifted it back their way, and they were gaining a lot of control through their forward pack. The Blues' discipline was horribly bad. They were giving away penalty after penalty as well. Then our first big injury of the All Blacks possible later in the year, Team Milner-Skudder going off a big injury. Now, he was quite instrumental in this win, creating a try, and he just looked like one of very few players who was going to break this game open. His loss will be big for the Hurricanes and for New Zealand rugby. Once again in this match, the TMO come under some stick with a controversial try given after it looked like, I think it was Adi Savia picking the ball up, kind of made a bit of a knock on, but the TMO calling that it didn't look like a knock on in real time. Now, I'm not too sure if that's really a ruling you can give, but that's what he gave in the end. A slow motion, it certainly looked like a knock on, but a tough call against the Blues that eventually went to a try to, I think, one of the best players on the paddock in the match would have been TJ Perenara for the Hurricanes. It was an amazing finish as well. Both teams in it right to the last second of the match. But the Hurricanes, they hung on for a good win as well. 23-19, as I predicted they would win. But mine was 19 points to 12. I was off by quite a wee way there. But still, picked myself up 1 point for getting the winner. Following that, a couple of hours later, we went over to the Western Force as they took on the best looking team in the competition up to this point, the Brumbies. And, well, that really sums it up for me. The Brumbies were far, far from their best in this match. They dominated pretty much the whole game, really. The forwards especially. The Force gave away a lot of penalties just to try and stay in the game. That's the only way they could not give up tries. The Brumbies were happy to take the kicks, but the game never really got away from the Force. There was a lot of yellow cards. 3, I think, from that match in all, unless I missed one. There was so many being dished out. 3 yellow cards as well. It was a messy game, a very scrappy game, but I feel they played quite nicely into the Force in the way they play as well. They battled very, very hard, and they were kind of always there or thereabouts, but the Brumbies, a late try, blew it out in the end. But the Force are always within about 1 score of being back in the game. The Brumbies did enough just to keep them at arm's length. It's almost like they just were pushing them away just enough because the Brumbies were poor, but they had just enough in the tank to get the win. I think it's interesting for Super Rugby because the Brumbies look so good in the early goings, and against the Force, they looked average. A better team, I think, would have put them away. The final score was 31 points to 14. My prediction was 38-22. So again, not too far off, but outside that 10-point barrier that I've been giving myself, I still pick up the 1 point for calling the Brumbies as winners. Right, game number 3 of the weekend, and this was my undoubtedly biggest game of the weekend, and wow, what a match it was as well. Not for the closeness of it, but the Highlanders rediscovering that form that won them the title in 2015. I don't know how this really happened. I was watching this game and I was just in awe of what happened with the Highlanders. They just really turned it on, especially after the halftime break where it just all changed. The Highlanders, they always looked like they were a bit sharper, they were a bit nippier than the Lions, but something just clicked. Something happened after halftime, and the Highlanders just absolutely blitzed it. Malachi Fekitoa, he is amazing this year. He has just put his hand right up. So far, he's slapping Steve Hansen in the face, telling him to give him that number 13 black jersey, because at the moment, no one is even coming within, 10 metres of him, 100 metres of him, 10,000 kilometres of him. That's how far Fekitoa is in the lead of getting that number 13 jumper for the All Blacks. Lima Sopoaga as well didn't do himself any harm, especially with his goal kicking. Now, a lot of the front runners, Cruden's not even kicking for the Chiefs. Beauden Barrett's a bit iffy, isn't he, really, at his goal kicking. Sopoaga, he's as sharp as a knife. He is an absolute arrow, a bullet for those sticks. His kicking is amazing. And along with Fekitoa, combinations as well is something that they have to look at. Sopoaga's goal kicking, his general play kicking as well, was just fantastic. The second 40 was just amazing, and I was really stunned. I was in shock because, I like the Highlanders, my local side, but that was just something else. That was possibly the best Highlanders performance I've seen for quite some time. Now, I had the Highlanders winning this by 1 point, 17-16. I couldn't pick. I couldn't pick between the two sides. The full-time score was 34-15 to the Highlanders. I was just completely bamboozled that the Highlanders come away with that many points. I still get the 1 point for picking the winner, but wow, that game just absolutely blew me away. Now we made our way over to Melbourne for the Rebels versus the Reds, and I thought this should be a good win for the Rebels, but the Reds, to their credit, showed a little bit more than we've seen from them in recent weeks. But as we said, this was a huge drop in rugby standard that we've seen from the Lions and the Highlanders, who played at a pretty high level of rugby. This dropped away quite considerably as well. There was a lot of penalties. Both teams were very defensive minded as well, even though the Reds at times seemed in complete disarray as to what they were actually doing. The Rebels made easy yards, and they should have really put this game away very early, because they were just absolutely blowing through the Reds' defence, and they made it look easy. But the Reds, well, not predicted at all like this, but they did wake up. Something sparked this Reds team, and it was through their scrum half and their number 8, Nick Frisbee and Hendrick Tui, who just absolutely woke the side up. And they never went out of this match. Their goal kicking wasn't great, but the Rebels weren't either. They scored a brilliant try, the Rebels, but the Reds just stayed there. They ticked away, accumulated points slowly but surely, got down the danger end, took the points on offer, and they really did find themselves right in this match in the second half. It was a lot better showing from the Reds, especially the second 40. And the Rebels at one stage dropped 16-0 after not long, 10-15 minutes, and it was almost a case of, right, here's a big win, Rebels to win it by 40. It's going to be massive, but no, it didn't happen that way. The Reds, to their credit again, they found some mettle, and they really stuck in, dug deep, and I think they put in a decent performance against the Rebels, a team that in past years they would have expected to absolutely thrash. The final score in that one was 25-23 to the Rebels. They just snuck it in the end, but they always looked like they were going to have just enough. The Reds always that little bit short. My prediction was Rebels 26, Reds 9. So although the first half of the scoreline was pretty close, I didn't expect the Reds to do quite as well as they did. I grabbed myself 1 point for picking the right winner as well, but miles off for the margin. Now for matchup number 5, I did make a bit of a stuff up in my preview of this match. The Sunwolves up against the Cheetahs. It was not in Tokyo, it was actually in Singapore, which I did find out after recording that preview piece, but still home match for the Sunwolves. And I'm not quite sure what was in the water over there in Singapore, but the Sunwolves absolutely burst out of the blocks. What a start! I've never seen such an emphatic start for the Sunwolves or anyone in the Super Rugby. Yamada, what a spectacular first half he had. Tries, and more tries for the Sunwolves. They were doing it easy. They were breaking tackles, crashing through the line. The Cheetahs' defence was abysmal, and it was 28-13 to the Sunwolves at half-time, and that's a lead of course, 15 points, but I was thinking at that time, I was like, wow, the Sunwolves are going to win this by 13 plus. This is massive. This is huge. 4 tries in the first half. They were absolutely smashing it. They got right into this hype. Their second game, they were just destroying it. They had 2 things on their side, a plan and the ability to execute perfectly. That's what they did. We all know about Asians with sport, Asians with jobs, or if you call it that, careers, anything that Asians tend to do. If they've got a plan and they know what to do it and they know what they have to do, they do it. They just do it. There's just something about them that they just have this ability to execute plans perfectly, and that's exactly what we've seen in that first half. Mark Hammett had given them a game plan that was very well suited. I think the more and more I see Hammett and the Sunwolves, the more and more I think that he suits their style brilliantly, because he's a hard-nosed coach. He says, this is how it's done, this is how you'll do it, this is the game plan, go out there and do it. Don't give me bullshit, just go out there and do what is on this piece of paper, do what's on this whiteboard, just go out there and get it done. And they do. The Sunwolves are very much that kind of team. They go out there and they get the job done. They execute the plan and it's job done. What they didn't allow for, though, is all that momentum, all that passion that the Sunwolves play with just disappear. And the Cheetahs, well, we said about it in the preview, they're passionate, they're professional, and they know how to play this game. They worked their way back into the game. They were never going to go away. And they just slowly but surely took their time, built back, and played a superb second 40 minutes. I think the changing of this match that really sealed the deal was the yellow card that went to Ed Quirk, I think it was, that really just put them on the back foot that little bit more, even though they were really struggling at the time he went off. It just sealed the deal. The Cheetahs got that final little lead of just 1 point with a few minutes to go. The Sunwolves never looked like getting it back. They only scored 3 points in the second 40 minutes. That's right, it was 28-13 at halftime. 32-31 was the full-time score. Now, my prediction was 27-24 to the Cheetahs. So, again, I pick up the 1 point for getting the winner right, but just outside that 10-point margin for the points scored by the two sides. What a match, though, and I just cannot believe the Sunwolves let that one slip. Could have been their maiden win. Not yet, not today. Alrighty, so a couple of games left to go, and we made our way over to South Africa, where the Kings are at home to face the Chiefs. Now, the Kings, of course, had that bye last week as well in round 2, which I don't know if that would have really helped them as much, as just had played that one game, first game back in 2016, and now they're back on the bye. It was a tough battle. I think the Kings had early chances that they could have put away and given themselves a chance to be in this match, but it was a game of two different sides. The Kings playing with their forwards, the Chiefs playing with their backs, and I think given the day, beautiful sunny weather, dry ground, open running play was the order of the day. Had it been pouring with rain in Hamilton or Christchurch or wherever the Kings may end up playing anywhere in the world, rain may suit this team because they're very, very forward orientated side. The Chiefs, though, they did enough, they held strong, and then they got the opportunity as the match wore on to really dominate this game, and it was all the Chiefs in the second half as they blitzed through the match. I think the only real bright spark here for the Kings was one man, Malcolm Yah, who was brilliant. A little man, the biggest 74 kilos or something was his weight that the commentary team said, but boy oh boy, He is absolutely lightning. My God, he is fast. I'm surprised if he doesn't play sevens already, that he's not in the team, because my God, he was lightning. And he probably saved the Kings, conceding 4 more tries. Anton Leonard-Brown was away for one. There's a couple of others that normally fast enough players had the ball, would have just had enough to get away, but this man, Malcolm Yah, was just lightning. He is so fast. He made everyone look slow, and the Kings, I think, got a real star there. If they can use him properly, use his speed, he could be a real weapon for the Kings. Full time, and that one ended up being a big win for the Chiefs. My pick was 35-17. Final result was 58-24 to the Chiefs. So I was miles away from that one too in my margin, but I still pick up 1 point for getting the winner correct, which is great. I'm 6 from 6 at this point with one match still to go, and this one started about 4 o'clock in the morning New Zealand time here on Saturday night. Oh, it was, toothpicks holding the eyelid stuff open, but this match really did wake me up. It was a great match. It was the Stormers up against the Sharks, and there was so much happening. These two teams cancelling each other out with amazing defence as well. Both sides rushing, hitting it quickly, hitting the ball runners behind the gain line. It was a great work on defence, but neither side really were looking like they were going to score too many points at all. To the point that it even took over 15 minutes before we saw our first points of the match, which was a penalty. Now, that was the way this game played. Two teams were so close, so defensive-orientated sides that they were just cancelling each other out, or just the way the game was. It was fantastic watch, because both sides really didn't have anything on attack to trouble the other. One thing that did trouble for the Stormers was one man called Zas. His freak try. Now, it was just an absolute blitzer of a try as well. One moment that did change the game, though, was a horrible call on the 45th minute with the ball being kicked out of a player's hand. Now, this is really tough to call because it really did not look intentional, but the way the ball was planting forward, the defender come round to stop him. It's a tough call. He did kick the ball away, completely unintentional. Scott Burger was absolutely going bananas, but the Stormers did lose a player to a yellow card for a call like that. I feel it was a bit harsh, but it's within the rules. Where do you go? You split here between the Hurricanes game where in real time, common sense that it looked like he flicked the ball up to his hands, to this, where it's like rulebook states, bang, this is what happens, bang. There's got to be a bit of human involved there as well. When it's not intentional, the ball hits the foot sometimes. Did he kick it away? What do you guys think about that one? I think the Stormers showed a lot more on attack throughout the whole match and really should have led by a lot more, but the Sharks' defence was on form. It was a testy game. It was a very tense, tight matchup that with 20 minutes to go, it was 10-all between the two sides. The Stormers had piles and piles of chance, but the Sharks were not giving up, they were not letting them in, and they were not going away. And then two men with the same surname combined to score an absolute gut-wrenching try for the Stormers. JP and Joe Peterson combining for what would be probably one of the better tries of the season so far. The Stormers had no answer. It was a freak try, and when so late on as well, 74th, 76th minute, something like that, there was no way back for the Stormers. And the Sharks, well, they just did enough, didn't they? 18 points to 13. My pick was pretty close with the margin, but I had 34-30 to the Stormers. I pick up a big fat 0 for that final match of the round. So overall for me, I have got 6 out of 7 games correctly. That is 6 points I have got from that, but I have not picked up any bonus points whatsoever. But with so many tight and close matches, I'm taking that as a pretty good pick. to get 6 out of the 7 games correct from the weekend. And once again, the closest to my selections was coming from TGI 321, who also picked up 6 points from round 3, but different way as well. 5 from the head-to-head matches, but he also picked up the 1 bonus point. So he was on quite good form with his selections as well. His bonus point coming from the Cheetahs Sunwolves game, where he picked the Cheetahs to come up 24-21 winners. He was only out by about 6 points, I think, from that matchup. Otherwise, all good head-to-head winners. He did go a bit off stray, picking the Blues to beat the Hurricanes, and the other one was the Stormers to beat the Sharks, like myself. But still, he picked himself up 6 pretty good points as well to be tied with me. Still can't beat me. Try again in round number 4. Alright, that is me for round 3 of Super Rugby, a review, a look back at the weekend's action. A great weekend as well. We'll be doing it all again in a couple of days' time, around midweek, when the teams start to be selected and we can have a bit of a look and see what changes are coming up for the weekend's games in round number 4. We should have some teams back that had the bye. We have, well, let's have a look. We have all teams. We have all teams in action for round 4. Just having a look at the draw now. All teams in action. 9 matches have a look at. Wow. Bets are on this weekend. It's going to be a cracker. We have some stunning games as well. Oh, I can't wait for round 4 of Super Rugby. Thanks everyone for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed. As always, don't forget to leave your picks in the preview video as well, and hopefully try and beat me. But I'm looking alright. I'm pretty confident after 6 out of 7. But until next time, thanks for watching and take care.